Welcome to the Marvel's Black Panther Sins of the King panel here at New York Comic Con. My name is Karen Mahorn, aka the Blur Girl. I'm a cultural journalist, content creator, and professional geek. We're here today to talk about an incredible new project coming soon from Serial Box. It's called Marvel's Black Panther Sins of the King. Guess that, right? If you haven't heard of Serial Box, they're an immersive platform for ebook and audiobook fiction across sci-fi, fantasy, horror, mystery, and thriller genres. And today I'm talking to the team of creators behind the upcoming audio and ebook. But before I introduce you to the team or dive into another fantastic story about the King of Wakanda, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the actor who brought him to life on screen, the late Chadwick Boseman. Boseman was an actor, writer, and philanthropist who played real-life heroes like Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, and James Brown on screen. But it's his portrayal of T'Challa, the Black Panther, that most comic book fans will remember forever. This has been a trying year for all of us, but looking at what Chadwick endured and was yet able to achieve brings us hope. He truly will be missed. Now let me introduce the panel. First up, we have the lead writer on Marvel's Black Panther, Sins of the King, Ira Madison III. Ira is the host of Crooked Media's Keep It podcast. He's also a television writer on Netflix's Daybreak and a former TV critic. Contributing writer Jeffrey Thorne is an actor turned TV writer whose work can be seen on shows like Law & Order: Criminal Intent, as well as TNT's hit series Leverage and The Librarians, two shows that he also helped to produce. Thorne has also written the two-time Image Award nominated series Avengers Black Panther's Quest, the animated series, and he co-created the character and the comic Mosaic for Marvel Comics. Up next is Tananarive Due, who is an award-winning author who is also a leading voice in Black speculative fiction for more than 20 years. Due has won an American Book Award, an NAACP Image Award, and a British Fantasy Award, and her writing has been included in Best of the Year anthologies. She's written several books, including My Soul to Keep and The Good House, and she's married to the guy sitting next to her, Stephen Barnes, whom she collaborates with on screenplays, including an episode of Jordan Peele's second season of Twilight Zone. Now, Stephen is a New York Times bestselling author, NAACP Image Award, and winning Afrofuturism pioneer and author of over 30 novels, as well as episodes of the aforementioned Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Stargate SG-1, and Andromeda. So up next, joining us all the way from South Africa, is Mahale Mashigo. She is the author of the widely acclaimed and best-selling novel, The Yearning, which won the University of Johannesburg 2016 debut prize for South African writing in English. Her latest offering is Intruders, a collection of speculative fiction short stories that explore how it feels not to belong. Mashigo is also a comic book writer and an award-winning singer and songwriter. And last but not least, we have the Emmy-nominated William Jackson Harper. He's most notably known for his portrayal of Chidi in NBC's Emmy-nominated comedy series The Good Place. And he's also starred in A24's thriller Midsummer, which terrified me, and Amazon's Jack Ryan. Born in Dallas, Harper has an extensive background in theater, co-starring alongside Kristen Milioti in After the Blast and at Lincoln Center, as well as on Broadway. Additionally, he has made guest appearances on numerous acclaimed television series, including 30 Rock, The Blacklist, and Law & Order. He's currently in production on Amazon limited series, The Underground Railroad, which will premiere in 2021, and he resides in Brooklyn with his dog, Chico. I will be heading over to meet Chico right after this panel. Marvel's Black Panther: Sins of the King is a brand new story. The Black Panther has a terrible secret. T'Challa strives for excellence, to be a fair and worthy king, a global citizen, and avenger. But when an army of undead threatens Wakanda, the Black Panther turns to his long-lost father in the fight against his most lethal opponent yet, the demons of his past. So apparently we got zombies, y'all. So I'm going to just put this out there to the writers first. In this story, T'Challa is king, the borders are open, and the world knows about Wakanda. Can you walk us through world building this story a little bit?
I think when we all got together to talk about the story, it was, going off of what we love about the comic books, what we love about film, just this idea that what happens with this city that has, this country, sorry, that has been hidden to the world before, and now the whole world knows about it. What are their responsibilities to the world, and what does the world think about the fact that they've been hidden for so long? And I think that was a jumping off point where all of us had so many thoughts about the Black Panther, and really just came together to come up with a very exciting story that feels current and feels like it says something about Wakanda's place in the Marvel universe, but also the world.
William, I gotta ask you, one, how does it feel to be playing Black Panther, and how would Chidi feel?
I think. Well, I mean, first things first. I think Chidi would be pretty excited. But I think it's the hardest thing and the most interesting thing about this whole experience is actually trying to voice all of the characters. Like, that's the thing that's really putting me through my paces. It's just it's just sort of embracing the imperfections there. But that's sort of the toughest thing, is really wrapping my mind around trying to make each of these characters as distinct in my voice as I can, as they are on the page, because they are very, very specific and really well drawn. So I just want to honor that as much as I can.
And actually, I didn't realize that you were voicing everything before I signed on to do this panel. And I just want to let everybody watching this know, stay tuned, because towards the end of this panel, we'll be playing a special exclusive clip from the actual audiobook, Marvel's Black Panther, Sins of the King, and you will get to hear all of the accents that William Jackson Harper gets to do. Yes, exclusive, even to the people on this panel. It's a surprise. They didn't know that was happening.
We're shocked.
Oh, man.
Wait for it. Tell us about the collaboration process, Tananarive and Stephen. The two of you collaborate together so much. What was it like to collaborating with the rest of this team?
Well, I started off, Steve unfortunately was out of town when we all met as the writer's room. So I was the one who first had that experience of being like, oh my gosh, all these people at the table, all these great ideas, really just racing to keep up. I think I was one of the few people in the room who didn't have any TV experience. So I had never been in a traditional writer's room in that sense. And that was one of the things that was really exciting about it. But in terms of our collaboration, I reported back, extensive notes in terms of what the discussions had been and the decisions we made, and we talked it over. And then I took the first pass.
Yeah, right? Other than that, it's not that much different from our other collaborations. We collaborated on numerous books and screenplays and things of that nature. And one of us always takes the lead. It's not like we hand back and forth. That's almost like a stunt. You do this chapter, I do this one. So it's like work out the details of the treatment or the outline first. Then one or the other of us, depending on who feels most appropriate or is more inclined or has less on their plate, takes that first draft. Then the other one goes through and works with the characters or works with their specialties in different ways. And so it works out like that. So Tananarive took the lead, like she said, on this project. And I went in and took a look at the character interactions and the strategies and tactics and the action scenes and stuff like that. Yeah, everybody plays to their strengths in that particular sense. But by the time you go through it enough times, it smooths out. It works nicely.
Jeff, you have experience writing for both TV as well as comics and so many other projects. Now, a movie is 2 hours, a comic issue is like 22 pages or so, but this is like a 300-page story about one of the most popular characters on the planet. It actually might be longer than 300 pages. What is your collaborative process been like with Ira also? How the two of you break all that down?
I mean, Ira's a great team leader. It was very much for those people who weren't used to being in writers' rooms. I found it exactly the same, basically. We had a copacetic team of people. Everybody was not there to screw with anybody. Everybody there was down for the project. So it was relatively smooth in that regard. The collaboration was great because there was a lot of shorthand that we could all use with each other. There were not a lot of explaining. You know what I'm talking about? Where you could reference something from your childhood and everybody just nods instead of going, so you see in DC when this used to happen, we didn't have to do any of that. And everybody already loved the Black Panther. So there was no trying to get people up to speed or anything like that. It was really just, what is the story? Like, what is the story we all want to tell? And really, as the leader on this project, it was how best to realize the goals set forth by Ira and Cereal Box. And I think we just sort of fell into it. It was almost like if you were a bunch of session musicians and we all just sort of came in and got handed sheet music and we all knew how to play. So we just played. Like, I wish it was more dramatic than that, but it was really just fun.
No, that's amazing. No, that's amazing. Mahale, I'm curious because Black Panther has had such a obviously huge presence here in the States. A lot of people know who you're talking about, even non-comic book readers, when you say Black Panther. What's it like on the continent? What's it like in Africa and South Africa? What has the reaction been to this character?
Well, I think the reaction was the same here. We all went to the cinema dressed up in our traditional. It was the same everywhere. We just showed up and showed out. And for me, it was particularly exciting because I'm a comic book nerd. But even my not comic book nerds, they were finally like, hey, there is a Black superhero movie. We're going. And I was like, okay, yeah. So everybody was pretty excited with the premiere of the film.
This one's for you, William. Did you get to collaborate with this team at all? Did you get to sort of say, I'm not quite sure I would say that, or he would say that? Were you able to make those changes in the booth, or was it like read what's on the page?
It really was like read what's on the page. But I mean, I've read all the scripts that I've recorded so far, and I just got swept up. So it wasn't like a thing where I was like, the writing's good when your brain just goes straight into the place of just like, I can't wait to see what happens next. It was never so for me, I didn't really read with that eye towards, well, I think that, I'm like, nah, this is from that first episode, I was just like, oh, this is a group of writers who knows what the F they're doing. So I'm just going to sit back and let them give me this dope story that I get to read. And so it's, I mean, right now I'm still in the middle of them. And so it's, the engineer, myself, we're all just sort of just chomping at the bit, just like, what happens next? So that's where we're at. It's, I just can't contain my excitement that I even get to do this. So, I mean, it's just a testament to the skill of this group of writers that it's just something that just propels itself and makes you really eager and really excited to do it. So I just want to be as good as the words and just play it as it lays.
Now, I'm excited about all these characters that we get to see. We got Rhodey, we got Misty Knight, we got Okoye, we got Shuri. And now that I know that William is going to be voicing Shuri, I can't wait to hear that. So, Ira, I got to know, how did you pick? There's so many amazing characters that you could have chosen to put in this. How did you narrow it down?
Well, I mean, when we talk about that process of us all there creating these stories, I mean, that was honestly the best part of it, it was just like all of us there talking about comic stuff we love, characters we love. I wish that we could share the stories that didn't make it in, the villains that we wanted before that we couldn't do. But from the outset, we knew that T'Challa was going to be teaming up with some Avengers. And we were like, listen, if he's teaming up with the Avengers, he's teaming up with the Black Avengers, we're throwing Misty in there, we got Rhodey in there, and it was so much fun to conceptualize a story where they were all together doing their own thing.
This is sort of a transmedia project. It's not just in a audiobook form, it's also in a written book form. Are there any things that you have to do differently to create a story like that?
No, I think Jess can speak to it too. As someone who's written for, specifically like the Avengers like animated series too, and like has written for comics too. This was like dividing into chapters, and it was the reason why it was like a TV room. It was like we were writing towards cliffhangers.
Right. Right. Other than length and really the kind of editing you need to do, because ultimately an actor is going to perform it. So it's sort of halfway between regular prose, right, where the reader just reads it and the movie's in their head or whatever. Or even when you do an audiobook, which just is a little bit different than a regular audiobook, where we knew going in that an actor was ultimately some combination of actors was going to portray these things, right? So the editing process is slightly different than it would be for a prose novel, because the company in IRA, the editors in IRA have to think, oh, someone has to say this really neat section, which reads great, but someone has to act this. So maybe reword it, right? Really maybe change this little paragraph to suit that it's going to actually be coming out of somebody's mouth. But the rest of it was like writing a book, basically. I mean, I didn't find it that dissimilar to anything I've written.
All of you, this is actually for everybody. You've all been working on this project and navigating the challenges that T'Challa has to face politically in the story, especially with regard to Kiplingard, a fictional former apartheid country. Does it feel different when you look at it now, or is it even more timely?
Well, having lived through real apartheid, it was really interesting because, when South Africa became free or whatever, there were some things, for me anyway, that I saw that were kind of similar in how it's a young country. Some people want to do good things and some people don't.
Well, everything has that much more resonance, I think, now, after there's been so much conversation about social justice just in general, human rights just in general. So yeah, I do think that it continues to have deeper and deeper resonance as time goes on, just because we're tying it to some real world conversations.
I tend to be more philosophical than political, really. I don't really think about the world that way unless it's kind of forced upon me. But the entire concept of the Black Panther is deeply philosophical, and what Jack Kirby and Stan Lee created in terms of the character in the first place, to try to fill in a hole in the comic world. And the creation of the film and the recreation of the Black Panther now is certainly a political act, in the sense that the world is looking, I think that the world right now is asking questions about what Black Americans are, what Black people are. And the lack of mythology that bridges the gap between cultures is one of the things that makes it difficult for people to understand and sense the inwardness. Where are your stories? What are your gods? Who are your kings? What do you want? So I think that my concern was for the creation of the character, and that it have integrity within itself. And that if I did that, then it was both a philosophical act in the sense of, asking, who am I? What is it to be human? And a political act in terms of standing up and saying, this is who we are.
William, for you, what was the most important thing that you wanted to make sure, besides the accents, that you got right in working on this project?
I think more than anything, it's like just this, like really trying to connect with what's at stake. And also, I mean, one of the things that I love about the script so far is that the political aspect is very, very nuanced, and it's very real, and it's very specific. And so I want to make sure that, God, I'm trying to say this without giving up things, but I mean, I think it's,
we know there's zombies. We know there's zombies.
Yeah, it's zombies. Yeah.
And we already talked about his dad a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's more about like, one of the things that I love about this particular story is that it sort of breaks apart this monolithic view of Blackness, and in a science fiction, very action-packed forum. And I really want to lean into those differences and lean into those nuances as much as I can. And so it's that's the most important thing for me. You know, the accents are going to be what they are, because there's some people that I take some risks with, and, and so it's going to be what it is. But there's a larger question being asked, and there's larger ideas being placed in front of us to investigate and unpack, and I really want to make those clear.
It's interesting because as of late, we've heard the Black Panther often referred to as part of the Afrofuturism pantheon. Tanana, Reeve, and Stephen, you've written extensively about Afrofuturism, but I would love it if the two of you, as well as Mahale, could answer for the uninitiated. Can you give us a definition of Afrofuturism, and if the Black Panther's legacy falls into that category? And Mahale, specifically, after they're finished, can you also speak to what Afrofuturism looks like from your end of the pond?
Afrofuturism pretty much started as just the flavor of science fiction that's being written by Black people, but it branched out from there into music and fashion and things of this nature. So it is, in general, it's the American version of this. I mean, the science fiction writer, the Nigerian science fiction writer, Nigerian American science fiction writer, Nnedi Okorafor, considers her stuff to be,
African futurism.
African futurism, not Afrofuturism. So she makes a distinction in that sense. You know, and they're just different flavors of the same idea, which is to say that all cultures have their mythology that connects them to the origin of the universe. Science fiction, in many ways, was the mythology, the origin mythology of the 20th century, now the 21st, and we're simply taking our piece of that.
And I definitely believe Black Panther fits within that. I teach Afrofuturism at UCLA, and we also teach an online course. And the way I define Afrofuturism is the Black speculative arts of the African diaspora. So I definitely do embrace African futurism. But when I teach Afrofuturism, I include artists from the United States, from the Caribbean, from the continent of Africa as well. To me, it's about Blackness. It's Blackness, but not just in the future. And one of the beautiful things about the whole mythology of the Black Panther is that it embraces the past, right? Tradition, whether it's the rituals of the council. Tradition is a huge, huge part of Wakanda, right? So, and the Black Panther. So it's both looking toward the future with technology, but not leaving behind tradition and ritual and what's valuable about the past.
Mahale, do you have a similar definition?
Yeah, I actually wrote an essay called Afrofuturism Ayashi Samategi at the beginning of my collection of short stories. And it was really me saying, as much as I love Afrofuturism, I think maybe the way African writers on the continent treat it is maybe different. And, you know, Tanana Reeve, you said it is definitely for the diaspora, right? And so I love it. Obviously, I consume a lot of it, but I thought when Nnedi said she is an Afrofuturist, then I was like, oh, an African futurist. I thought, okay, yeah, you know, we're not all a monolith, all of us around the globe. So it's okay for people to call it something different where they are, based on how they interact with, like you said, Tanana Reeve, the past and the present and the future.
Jeff, I'm very curious with all of this renewed interest, and you've, like I said, you've been writing for a while. You've seen trends come and go, but we have all this interest now in seeing Black comic books, Afrofuturism, and basically Black folks in fantasy and science fiction. Do you think it's here to stay, or do you think that it's kind of a fad right now?
I think it's our ball to drop. The door got kicked open this time. It's edged open in the past, but this time it's kicked open. The Black Panther movie made a lot of money, like a lot of money, right? Like more than a lot of money. And that's not just Black people going to see it, right? Anything you make that only Black people go see, that's a guaranteed hit. But if you want a blockbuster, go to the moon hit, You want everybody's asses in those seats. And that's what we got with the Black Panther. So we had a core group of folks like us who are dressing up and getting into shape so they can look good for their Black Panther festival. But we have a whole bunch of white kids dressing up like the Black Panther for Halloween. There's money in that. So smart people will want to exploit that audience. I'm being cynical in my conversation about it right now. So from a business side, it would be literally stupidly leaving money on the table to drop this ball. But from a point of view of a creative side, it would be literally stupid to drop this ball. The door has been kicked open that a lot of people, I mean, Stephen's been at this longer than me. I remember reading his books and going, oh, someone like me is doing this. I can do it. Like, I won't be the only one. Like, there's someone ahead of me. Dwayne McDuffie in comic book world, who I was lucky enough to meet. Another person who I found out later was Black. I already liked his work, and then he turned out to be Black. And I was like, oh, damn, another one, right? Well, now there's an army of us. It's not just us. It's not just 2 or 3 people. You can't count us all on one finger or one hand. So is it here to stay? I say that's up to us. I don't think there's outside forces that can take it away anymore because there's too much money to be made. So make that money, y'all.
I love that, Jay.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
No,
You can't even count the Black people on this Zoom on one hand. So
Exactly.
let's celebrate that.
There you go.
Go make that money.
Now, I did tease it earlier, and before I get to some of the fan questions that I have to read for you all, I want everybody to check out this exclusive clip of Marvel's Black Panther, Sins of the King, starring William Jackson Harper.
Whoever this stranger was, he wore his father's face as a mask, a terrible trap, and his smile, half crooked, perfect. What trickster would dare to taunt him this way? And for what purpose? Speak now, T'Challa said. Your king commands it. You'll see exactly who I am, T'Challa, the trickster said, his voice's imitation so perfect that the sound of his own name seared T'Challa's stomach like acid. Identify yourself now, or we will identify your corpse instead. Speak now, or die.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I recognize that.
What?
That sounded great. Is that that's the first time all of you have heard that, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Gonna
man.
have
Okay,
to,
so-
Awesome.
Oh, y'all, my
Got a
shirt's wet.
download on that one. Yeah. Gotta
Wow.
download that.
Okay, so let's start with you, Ira. What did you think hearing your work for the first time?
I thought it was great. You know, I mean, Will's on here with us, so I think it's great. I'm kidding. No, that was fantastic. You know, I mean, when we talk about that room that we were in, it was a year ago, whenever, you know. So like hearing it now, it feels it's fantastic.
How about you, Will? How did it sound hearing your own voice?
You know, like nobody likes to hear their own voice. So you know, it's I mean, look, I just want to do the best I can. So I'm you know, I feel good about. I think the scripts are great, and so I'm like, oh man, I just want to bring all that I can to it. So I hope there's you know, I hope y'all like it, but I can't judge me. I can't handle my voice.
But we could tell you look like you were basically enduring like water torture.
Yo, I mean, no, like real talk. Like my shirt is wet. Like my armpits are damp. You know, like this is a nervous time for me.
I feel so much closer to you now, Will. Mahala, what was it like for you hearing words brought to life?
Well, see, I've never done anything like this before. So this is a wild, wild experience. But I will say, Will, it wasn't so bad. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I loved it. I loved it.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it all blends together, but I'm pretty sure we wrote that.
Yeah, so I don't think anything about the
So,
story. I was focusing totally on the performance.
Wow.
Yeah, so was I. So was I. So, Tanana, Reeve, and Steven, was that a scene you wrote? Because you both jumped when that played.
I mean, it's so funny because it was a group effort in terms of coming up with the story. So part of me was like, wait, did we write that? But I'm pretty sure we wrote that. So yes, it was very exciting.
Yeah, I was pretty certain that was part of our part. So I didn't really think about the writing that much. I was thinking about the performance, and I was thinking about the way that he was carrying it. You know, the energy of the voice carrying it. When you write something for the screen, you're always at the mercy of the actors, and so it felt like we were in good hands.
Very good hands.
Well, you did great, and you yes, and you bounced between the different accents very well. Like I could tell narrator, I could tell T'Challa, I could tell his father. Yeah, for me, I mean that clip I heard, well, you did good. Come on.
Oh, well,
take your flowers, honey. Take your flowers.
Thank you.
Jeff,
you did good, kid.
What did you think, Jeff? What did you think of the clip we played?
A single actor doing both T'Challa and T'Chaka, talking to one another in the same moment. Like it's not even like I'm going to come back and do the one side later. He's talking to himself. I mean, it's a chef's kiss, baby. You did great. Nice.
Thank you,
it was great.
That is theater. Okay. That is acting.
It was absolute theater. So listen, before we go, I want to mention a couple things, including some fan questions. There are some people that got to ask a couple of things of you lovely folks, and I want to make sure that we get to address those. But these are actually questions that I had too. Overall, everybody, what was your favorite scene? If it's not too spoilery, and what was your favorite line?
Favorite line will be tough. I'm just going to jump in because I just heard one of my favorite scenes. that reunion moment, you know, and T'Challa starts to realize, oh my gosh, this is T'Chaka is huge. That's I can't line that. That's hard. Oh, maybe the one he just said. I'll use that one. Speak now, or what was it about the corpse? That'll be my favorite.
Speak now, or identify yourself, or we'll identify the corpse.
Yeah,
that's
yes.
I forget what that line was.
That's cheating, though.
That
was a hardcore line, though. And when I heard Will deliver it, I was like, wow.
My favorite stuff is actually spoilery, but it's later in the chapters, and it's definitely the stuff that Jeff tackled. So, you know.
Oh, that craziness.
Yeah, you know, cooking that all up before, you know, it's really fun, and I think that people will be excited at some of the twists happening. But other dialogue things are, you know, we have a few. We have some Karens that pop up in the beginning.
No.
so
international Karens.
Some international Karens that pop
up. For me, I mean, I like all this stuff, and all the stuff I really like is totally spoilers. So I can't say most of it, but I definitely like the political stuff in Wakanda, where T'Challa has to navigate all of his inclination to be a superhero, basically, and then having to also be king of Wakanda. Every time any of us had to tackle those moments, I was always happy, because that's, to me, one of the cores of the.
Actually, this is a question for me. This is not a fan question. There was a lot of science. I've seen a bit of the story, and there's a lot of science in this. Did all of you do like research? Like Ira, did you have like a science team?
No.
I mean,
somebody did that.
Google it.
Somebody did that research.
Google exists, my friends.
The research I think that I remember doing was just like when we were first coming up with the story, probably even before we had that first meeting with everyone, when I was first talking with like serial about it, I just remember like pouring through so many Wikipedias and books and comics on Black Panther and Marvel characters, because also this character's been around forever, and we didn't want to repeat stuff that people have seen before, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And is that also, and again, just to that, is it also kind of daunting when you go, oh, okay, well, I definitely want to write T'Challa this way, but not that way. I definitely want to represent the Dora Milaje this way, but not that way. Like, was that a group discussion, or what, Ira, were you like, this is what we're doing?
It was great. You know, we had to come to it. You know, there's the movie, there's the historic comics, you know, there's also Ta-Nehisi Coates' comics, you know, so it's like there's so many different entry points for the Black Panther for people right now. And I think we just really found an organic way that fits the story.
For me, it was so hard because while I have read, you know, the Christopher Priest and the Reggie Hudlin Black Panther comics, I was not a big Black Panther person. So talk about research. I have a big book of Black Panther where I had to like go through and learn all these backstories. That was tough for me.
Yeah, it was relatively easy for me. I bought the first Fantastic Four off the shelf, you know, back in like 1966 or whatever that was. You know?
Yeah.
So I wasn't current with what had been going on in the last 10 or 15 years in the comic books at all. But I was very, very familiar with the character, and of course familiar with what Reggie Hudlin did, and totally in love with the film. So the opportunity to participate in this version of that character was, you know, that's the kind of thing you want to jump on.
I think we should give unspoken props to like our sixth man, so to speak, who was Christopher Priest, because prior to Christopher Priest, Black Panther was just a black guy in a costume. I mean, he was great, and I love Stan and Jack. Don't ever get me wrong. That's my man, Jack Kirby, for real. But Christopher Priest turned it into anything that could be discussed as Afrofuturism, turned it everything you saw in the movie, everything that has trickled down since then is because he took a character that was, I wouldn't say standard, unusual for different reasons is a better way of saying it, and made him literally unique, like made him himself. Like, you need this problem solved, you better call the Black Panther. You can't call anybody else. He did that. And frankly, it took a black guy to take the reins on that. He happened to be an extremely talented black guy, but let's give him his props, because none of us would have been able to make this had he not revamped the character that way.
Absolutely. And before I get to the last superhero question from fans, Ira, I'm curious, is there one thing that you want everybody to walk away from with this story? Like when you sat down and you're putting all these parts together, did you say, I got to make sure that everybody gets this?
You know, I think what was really interesting to me about the story was telling a story about T'Challa and T'Chaka, you know, and I think we have seen throughout comics many stories about superheroes grappling, you know, with history, with their fathers, and it felt very inspiring, you know, to be able to create a story that was about a Black father and son at its core.
Awesome. Now, last superhero question from the fans. What would your superpower be? If you could pick one, what superpower would you have? And it doesn't have to be one that people know about.
I've always kind of liked Spider-Man.
So you want to be able to like just
scale? Well, be able to sense danger before it comes. You know, combination of strength and speed and agility, and a really wicked sense of humor. That's fun.
I'm not really much of a fighter, so I think mine would be more of a passive. Like I can just fly. You know what I mean? I'm just mad to this day since I was a kid that I can't fly. So that's the thing that I always think of first.
Mahala, what would yours be?
Yeah, I was gonna say the superhero starter pack is kind of nice, but I also think it would be flight. Honestly, I've been stuck in so many conversations where I was just like, I wish I could fly away from this discussion. I wish I could fly away from this person. So
I picked up and not flight. I want to be Nightcrawler. I don't want to fly. I just want to leave. Just boom, gone. I'm just out. I'm just you're not gonna see me fly. I'm just gonna be gone. Will, what's your superpower that you'd like to have?
Well, all right, this feels like kind of a cheat, but I feel like, super strength gives you a whole bunch of different options. Like, even if you can't actually fly, you can jump for long enough and take the landing, you know? And so like that, I think that might be mine. But it feels like so basic. But I mean, I don't know. There's also this thing where just this crazy control over matter. And so I go back and forth between the two. I mean, like, I feel like that could also be sort of a catch-all, because if you can manipulate the matter underneath your feet to make you fly, or to punch through a wall if you need to, that's also sort of a catch-all. So I don't know. It's like it's a weird little toss-up.
I do love Spidey. He's my bae, but I think I'd have to go with some like Mr. Fantastic. You want the brains, but you also want the matter is yourself. I think that if you are, that's almost super strength. Being able to contort your body and move anywhere. So yeah, we'd go with the whole like stretchy body, super smart superhero person.
Okay, so brains and being able to get something from the fridge without leaving the couch. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Jeff, how about you?
I'm easy. Super smart. I'll take super smart because I can build all the other shit. Everything I'll talk about, I'll just build something.
That is fantastic. I just want to thank all of you. This is going to be an incredible project. And actually, you don't have to really wait for it, because right now, at this very moment, the pilot episode is available now on Serial Box. That's SERIAL box.com, or download the app to read right now. And you can hear William Jackson Harper's voice for hours on end. As T'Challa. I'm just saying this to torture him a bit, but you can, and he sounds great. And if you want to hear the full series that premieres January 28th, 2021, please don't forget to check out serialbox.com or download the app. And I just want to thank my entire panel here for hanging out with me, talking about this in this virtual world we're in. And hopefully the next time we can do this face to face. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Love you all.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Everybody.